Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on the last day of the month of July, July 31st. We transition to the month of August, and the transition not only on the calendar but in the weather department here in the Mid-Atlantic region, northeast U.S., will come with a bang. It will come with some heavy rainfall, possible strong to severe thunderstorms, and flash flooding is certainly on the table. In fact, we'll focus in on this flood threat in the Mid-Atlantic, in the northeast U.S. This is the latest NOAA weather warnings map here. Just take a look at this widespread area in green here, representing flash flood watches, and even a little bit of orange with some strong to severe thunderstorm activity mixed in. Basically, we have a cold frontal system that is a slow mover. It is going to take its time moving through the Mid-Atlantic region over the next 36 hours or so. It finally clears the coast by the time we get to midday on Friday. Much cooler weather coming to the Mid-Atlantic region, to the northeast U.S., the Great Lakes over the next few days. In fact, it'll be downright jacket weather on Friday. Places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, where it's been way up in the 90s for much of the week so far. Again, that transition from the high heat earlier this week to the much cooler conditions by tomorrow will come with a lot of rainfall here. Let's take a look. Again, this is that flash flood watch. All these places here, especially the eastern half of the Mid-Atlantic region, but this includes D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York City, all the way up to southern New England. Well, here's a current radar loop of the northeastern quadrant of the nation. You really can see kind of a band here that you can imagine lies along a frontal boundary zone. In fact, that is the case. The front extends from southwest to northeast, and it will only slowly grind its way to the south and east over the next 24 to 36 hours or so. The fact that it's such a slow mover will allow for low pressure to form along that boundary zone. And low pressure, in turn, kind of enhances upward motion. It increases the chance for some heavy rainfall, and indeed, afternoon throughout the night tonight, heavy rain, strong thunderstorms, flash flooding possibility on the table for much of the Mid-Atlantic region. That includes the big cities from D.C. to Baltimore, Philadelphia, to New York City, and all the way into southern New England as well. Much cooler conditions already up across the southeastern part of Canada. That much cooler air is moving into New England and the northern part of the Great Lakes region as we speak here, and it turns much cooler on Friday in the Mid-Atlantic region. Well, before we take a look at last night's 0Z run of the GFS, I wanted to show this map here that shows the nationwide precipitable water amounts. Precipitable water is basically can be thought of as the amount of moisture in the atmosphere that can be squeezed out. In other words, if there's enough lifting or upward motion, you can end up with the precipitable water amounts in actual rainfall. And you can see it's quite high to begin with here in the Mid-Atlantic region. It's hard to see some of these numbers, but this is 1.9 inches right here. Quite high precipitable water amounts as we begin the day here on Thursday, but even higher down across the Carolinas here. We're seeing some numbers of 2.5 inches for precipitable water. Now these arrows here point to the flow of air in the lower part of the atmosphere. Basically, this flow of air is from the south or southwest, and it will pull some of this moisture from the Carolinas into the Mid-Atlantic region over the next several hours. And again, that sets the stage for possible localized flash flooding in the Mid-Atlantic region, including the big cities along the I-95 corridor region. But the bottom line here is very moist to begin with, and it will get even more humid, even more moisture in the atmosphere with that southwesterly flow right now ahead of the frontal system in the lower part of the atmosphere. Now, notice a big gradient right here in the precipitable water amounts. That's telling us this up here is very dry air, southeastern part of Canada, and it is downright chilly air as, again, we end the month of July and begin the month of August on Friday. A cold frontal system pushing south and east. So this is a moisture gradient, and there, of course, is a temperature gradient right in this area as well along that frontal boundary zone. So dry, cool air up to the north and west, gradually edging its way south and east. At the same time, that frontal system will run into a very, very humid air mass, setting the stage for heavy rainfall this afternoon and throughout the nighttime hours, maybe extend all the way into the early morning hours on Friday, certainly across the I-95 corridor region and points to the east of coastal New Jersey, for example, of Delmarva, likely to be raining hard as late as the early morning hours on Friday. Well, let's take a look at a couple of sets of charts here from the last night's 0Z run of the GFS. Here are the 850 millibar temperature anomaly forecast maps going forward. Not too hard to find the frontal boundary zone on this kind of a map. Right in this area right here is kind of separating the much, much cooler air to the north and west with warm and what we saw a moment ago, very, very humid air to the south and east. And again, this is slowly pushing to the south and east. A slow-moving frontal system is one of the factors involved with the likelihood for some heavy rain this afternoon and throughout the night tonight. If it were a faster-moving front, the rain would probably be less, but since it's a slow mover, low pressure forming along that frontal boundary zone, all sets the stage for a heavy rain event for much of the Mid-Atlantic region. Now, let's push forward in time and watch this blast of cool air move into the northeast, into the Mid-Atlantic region on Friday. Here we go, midday today, slowly edging to the south and east by late tonight. Here we see frontal boundary zone right now. As of early tomorrow morning, it will be cutting across probably the D.C. metro region, the Delmarva Peninsula, and only slowly edging its way. By the time we get to midday, it should clear the eastern seaboard. A much cooler day in store for the Mid-Atlantic region, and there will be a stiff northeast wind, low pressure. We'll see in a moment here on the surface maps. Will be exiting the east coast, and the counterclockwise flow around that low will bring about a stiff northeast wind. New York City, Philadelphia, even down to D.C. may even require jackets on Friday because it will not only be cool temperature-wise, but there will be a stiff wind in addition to those much, much below normal temperatures here. Now we move forward in time, and this cool air mass, this dry air mass, sets the stage for just a spectacular weekend. Perhaps the nicest of the entire summer. It's hard to imagine getting any nicer weather here. Probably highs not too far from 80 degrees in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and very, very low humidity value. Should be plenty of sunshine both Saturday and Sunday throughout the Mid-Atlantic region, the Northeast U.S., Great Lakes, Midwest, also enjoying this nice change as we begin the month of August on Friday, and that nice weather will last right into the early part of next week. Well, let's take a look at the surface forecast maps, again using the 0Z run of the GFS. These maps are available from tropicaltidbits.com. First of all, strong Canadian-born high pressure now over the northern part of Minnesota, and this is just a very, very cool, dry air mass right here across the southeastern part of Canada, including the Hudson Bay region, slowly working its way to the south and east, fully encompasses the Mid-Atlantic region by, let's say, midday on Friday, and setting the stage for a very, very nice, comfortable weekend here. Now we see low pressure organizing already right here over the southern Mid-Atlantic region, and that ends up kind of intensifying a little bit as that frontal boundary zone moves in. You can see GFS depicting some heavy rainfall amounts here along the eastern part of the Mid-Atlantic region. Again, the National Weather Service has issued flash flood watches throughout this part of the nation, from southern New England across the eastern half of the Mid-Atlantic region. That includes the big cities of D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York City. Likely to see 1 to 3 inches of rain but there is the potential for as much as 3 to 6 inches of rain in some spots, and hence flash flooding is certainly on the table. Here we go into the late night hours, only slowly edging to the south and east. Look at this bullseye of heavy rainfall right around the New York City metro region into southern New England. Again, that front just sliding ever so slowly to the south and east in this fashion here over the throughout the overnight hours into the early morning hours on Friday. By the time we get to Friday morning, here we are setting the stage for that stiff east to northeast wind right here. Winds blow counterclockwise around low pressure areas, and that sets the stage here for a cool breeze on Friday to go along with those well below normal temperatures. High temperatures on Friday likely to be in that 70 to 75 degree range from DC to Philadelphia to New York City. Throw in a 20, 25 mile an hour wind from the east or northeast, and you might want to look for that jacket that's been hidden for the last few weeks here. We'll go a little bit farther out in time here. By the time we get to midday on Friday, low pressure just slowly pushing off the eastern seaboard, and that high starting to take control, has complete control over the Great Lakes region on Friday, but it will take a little bit of some time on Friday to get full control in the Mid-Atlantic region. By tomorrow night, skies will clear, and it just sets the stage right here for some spectacular weather throughout this part of the nation. Saturday, Sunday, Monday as well, still very comfortable going into the early part of next week. So some high heat and humidity Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday throughout the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast U.S., transitioning today to a much, much cooler pattern for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That transition will come with some heavy rainfall this afternoon and tonight. Some strong to severe thunderstorms as well. Flash flooding certainly on the table. That's it for now for ArcfieldWeather.com. This has been meteorologist Paul Orion.